All right. Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Mind Renovation Nation. I am your host, Nathan Bush, and today I have got a wonderful program. If you're in small multifamily investing, you're a real estate investor, if you have a family, heck, if you want to just get better at life, my guest today, Dustin Hoog, is somebody that I have known in the St. Charles community and followed for a long time, who's a real estate investor, incredibly talented, gifted businessman, entrepreneur, speaker, trainer, father. I mean, there's so many titles that go on and on and on with this gentleman today. And I'm going to introduce my guest, Dustin Hoog. It's great to have you on the show. Thank you for taking time to meet with me.
Man, Nathan, thank you so much. And if you could keep on with those adjectives, I was just writing those down. I was loving every bit of that. So, no, thank you so much. Super honored to be on the show.
For sure. I'm one of those people that I live my life looking up to others, right? Like I look for giants. I look for people who can be mentors in my life, people who can train me, teach me. And even if it means all I can do for the brief season or time is follow them online, like that's what I try to do. And so you're one of those people that's been on my radar, and I'm seeing you're doing some great things. You run in a similar crowd that I do. You know, a lot of the same people. And so if you wouldn't mind, kind of tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, before anything, again, I'm live in St. Charles, Missouri, married. So I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a coach, and I would say I'm a Christian. That's kind of the four adjectives that I describe myself as, right? And after that, my goal, and I believe my purpose here is to help other men and fathers get better tomorrow than they were today.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah. So I follow you. You've got this podcast, the Balanced Business Dad.
Yep.
It's an incredible podcast. If you guys have not listened to the Balanced Business Dad, this is something that you should definitely hop on. Here's a newsflash: even if you're not a dad or a father, you're going to get a lot of information and insight out of this podcast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Balanced Business Dad? How did you guys come up with the idea? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so the balance, I'm one half of the Balanced Business Dad, right? And it was, we always say all good stories start with a night in the bar, and that's 100% where the Balanced Business Dad started. Um, my co-host and partner in a couple different businesses, but RJ Campbell and I was after a real estate investing event, and we went across the street to have dinner, have a couple drinks. And at that time, I've always had a coach, and I still have a coach. Every coach should have a coach, by the way. Yet I remember my coach asking me, who's your ideal person you're going to coach? And immediately the first words that came out of my mouth was a business dad, because that's who I was. That's who I have been for a long time now. And so we started talking about just the challenges that business dads have. And then next thing you know, for the next probably 2.5 hours, we're writing on anything we could write on at this bar. I mean, we're asking the waitress for more napkins. She's like, do you guys want paper? Like, yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. And we start writing, we start coming up with this framework, if you will, this guide. Because I've been obsessed with the question, how can I be better tomorrow than I am today? And we came up with the 6 pillars, which is faith, health, marriage, fatherhood, brotherhood, and then business, in that order. And what I've seen and how I've coached other men, and RJ's the same, is we've seen that people have had that out of whack. If you don't have the 6 pillars in alignment, if you will, and you're not present in those when you're supposed to be present, life can get a little funky. That's where the Balanced Business Dad showed up as.
So you said faith, health, marriage, fatherhood, and what were the other two?
Brotherhood, and then business.
And business. All right.
Business being last.
So let's break each one of those down just real quickly as we go through this. So faith. So what did faith mean to you guys? Why? Obviously, that's the first one that you listed. So it's probably the most important.
Absolutely going to be the most important in what I believe that your faith has to be. But faith encompasses a few different aspects of things. So first of all, I'm Christian, right? My faith in God, my faith in Jesus, that was huge for us. But then faith also goes a couple steps down too, and it's faith in ourselves, right? Every time I work with somebody and I'm coaching somebody, I ask them their goals And then I asked them if they have faith in themselves to hit their goals, because you have to have that belief in yourself before any of that's going to happen. The next part of that is going to be faith in others. You're not going to succeed alone. And that is something that dads have taken on for too long, in my opinion, is you're not going to be able to succeed alone. So you have to have faith in others that they're going to help you and you're going to get, leverage in a good way out of that. So that's where faith started first. But my faith with God, my relationship with God, that I want to grow deeper every day with that. And then also my faith in myself and faith in others. That's where faith came in. And that is truly the utmost importance. Everything else follows after that.
And the second pillar that you talked about was health. Kind of
Yeah.
describe a little bit for me what you mean about how your podcast revolves around the concept of health.
Yeah, so great question. So it's mental and physical health, and maybe I don't know how long you've been following, like you said, but 2 years ago I went on a journey to regain my health. Grew up an obese child, an obese adult, pretty unhealthy. Topping the scale is about 320 pounds, and when that I took this journey on, I ended up losing 75 pounds. I took a journey to fight a professional boxer. By the way, don't do that. There's many other ways to get healthy besides fighting a professional boxer. But then it's also the mental health too, right? What are you putting in your mind? What are you doing there to make sure that you have a positive mindset? So we talk a lot about both of those aspects. Again, my co-host RJ, he is, he's a cyclist, he's an athlete, so he kind of has that healthier, I guess, version of himself while I'm working on that better. And then I've been working on my mental health for a long time because that's so crucial in today's world.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have marriage is the next pillar. So kind of
Yeah.
walk me through. You guys chose marriage as part of the balanced business, Dad, and so that was something extremely important to you.
Yeah.
Kind of help me understand what you guys are proclaiming around marriage and how you can help others with their marriage through the podcast.
So a couple things, and I'm going to say that's going to be the order of where we put marriage. But if you see, marriage came before fatherhood.
Yes.
And I've seen so many people put their marriage aside while their kids were doing their thing. Right. And you got to put marriage first. That is your partner, because your kids are going to grow up and they're going to leave your house. And then you're going to be with this stranger.
Yeah.
And my wife is everything to me. My partner, obviously the love of my life. And to have that passionate marriage is so, so crucial, because I want to be the husband I want my daughter to have. So I have to show her that. I can't just tell her those things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I anybody that knows me knows that I tell people I married up, right? Like
Yeah.
my wife is, when it talks to, like, I study leadership. She's a doctorate in leadership,
Yeah.
right? Like I said, I'm incredibly talented. I lead a team. She leads a team of hundreds of people. Like,
Yeah.
these are it's almost like, the better version of myself is found in trying to be a better version of myself for my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I find that being so important. I also remind my daughter, like, your mother's and my relationship comes first.
Mm-hmm.
And so I live by that. So it's so important that you have a good relationship with your spouse so that you can also be a good father. And that's the next pillar
Yeah.
that you have. And so kind of walk me through the principles of fatherhood that you guys stand on.
There's a couple things. First of all, there is no instruction manual on how to be a parent, like, at all. And I come from a divorced family, still good relationships with all of my parents, and I just knew I wanted to make sure that my kids still liked me in the future. Right. So I've mentioned my business partner and co-host a couple times, and what RJ and what I knew what I was doing, he didn't know what I was doing, but I was using him as a mentor, as a husband and father. I think they just celebrated 30 or 35 years in marriage, like last month, and his kids are all closer to my age than I am his age. Yet they're all very successful, but they seem to still like him. And I'm like, you know what? You seem to do something right there. Maybe it was purposeful, maybe it wasn't, but you were on to something there. So I knew that was very important to me, that I wanted that relationship with my kids when they're that age that he has with his. And like we talked about, I want to stand on the shoulders of giants. And in my world, he's that giant when it comes to being a husband and a father.
Yeah, if you're just tuning in right now and you're watching this on, maybe you catch the middle of this on replay and you've kind of fast forwarded to kind of see where is this going. I want to say we're talking with Dustin Hoog, and he's an incredible, faith-filled, working on his health, husband, fatherhood. He also has the pillars of brotherhood, business, and there was one more that you guys hold true. What was the last two? It was
The
brotherhood.
last two and business. Brotherhood is, I have been very blessed with extremely best friends since like fifth grade on, and that we've celebrated life together. We've celebrated the wins, and I can go to them in times of need or times of success. And I was very unaware that a lot of men don't have that. And I was like, wow, that's a huge pillar that's gotten me most of my success that I would say I've had in life. So we lean on that brotherhood. You can see the sign behind me. It says the Dad Up Council, right? A council is a group of people that are there to support you, hold you accountable, and help celebrate the wins that you have. And that's what that brotherhood is. That's what's so important to make sure you have, because again, you can't succeed alone.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last one's business. You've been successful in business. You have a number of businesses. You have real estate. What what in your business world are you most excited about right now?
That's a great question. So, yeah, I would say I'm a serial entrepreneur. We own, I think, 7 or 8 businesses right now, and the most excited thing I'm involved in right now is going to be the Balanced Business Dad, and then the Dad Up Council that you can see behind me, which is the movement that we're doing for husbands and fathers. The real estate's kind of an autopilot now. We're still growing our portfolio and doing really well with that. My wife runs most of our flips. We flip, I don't know, 7 houses to 10 houses a year. Do pretty well on that. Maybe a little bit of wholesaling if we find the right deal. RJ and I actually purchased a sign company in January, so that's been a lot of fun. Absolutely love that industry. And then I own a campground down in Lesterville, Missouri, that I will just call it's a labor of love. And I love owning it and I don't love running it. It's probably the best way to put that one, but it's been a lot of fun. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we talk a lot with small multifamily investors, and you've done a lot of flips.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just for my own personal knowledge, so I can learn from you while we're on the show today. What is some of the best advice that you have gotten around flipping property?
The best advice, uh, that you don't live there.
Yeah,
That's
that's
going to be the
great.
best advice, right? Because I've coached a lot of people to get into real estate investing in the beginning, and they're like, well, we're going to do shiplap over here, and we're going to have an accent wall over here, and I'm like, none of that matters. It's probably not going to bring you that much more money, right? So it's to bring people back a little bit to make sure they don't over rehab the property, which is very easy to do, because how many of us have became interested in real estate investing, especially flip houses, because of what we see on HGTV, right? And one of my key phrases, Chip and Joanna are not coming to your flips. They're not going to see it. They're not going to judge it. You don't need shiplap, right? You need to rehab it to the comps that are out there on the market.
Yeah, yeah, it's really funny. My daughter, when she was, one night we were laying down and we were getting ready to go to bed, and we were all snuggled up, and my wife had noticed that my daughter had taken a shower, but she smelled her hair, and she was like, something seems a little off. And so, we start, like parents, we dig into it. We start asking. We're like, well, did you take a shower? Yeah, I took a shower. Did you wash your hair? Yeah, I washed my hair. Okay. Did you wash your body? Well, I washed my armpits and my feet. Like she, and she's 10 now. So as we were snuggling with a 10, I started thinking to myself, has she been washing just her armpits and her feet her whole life? And I think you can apply the same thing and the same concept to real estate investing, in that you don't have to do everything in order for it to be a successful outcome. She has been taking a shower her entire life, and she's still
Right.
here. She's still healthy, right? So,
Yeah.
so I guess from your standpoint, what have been like three of the most fulfilling accomplishments in your life so far?
Ooh, man, that's a great question. Um, well, I'll start with probably the easy two, but my wife. We were talking about before, but marrying up, my wife is truly one of the best accomplishments I have, and now it's on me not to screw that up, right? So that would be number one. Number two, of course, is going to be my children. Um, and I could go in so many different routes of what I could say for the third one, but it's interesting. So I have an MBA from Lindenwood, and that wasn't that great of an accomplishment for me to get that, but it was a better accomplishment when I was able to pay off those student loans. Over $100,000 in student loans that when I started that journey down to get those degrees, I never thought I couldn't even fathom of being able to pay that off. And it came up as a Facebook memory 2 days ago that it happened 2 years ago. After one very successful flip, I just wrote a whole check and paid it off. And it was that those wins, sometimes when you're in life and you don't see the way out, but if you keep on just stepping forward every time, the path kind of reveals itself, right? God has a very good way of revealing itself if you just keep going towards the path. And that's one of those accomplishments. It was funny. It meant more to pay off those loans than it did to get my MBA.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I want to circle back on that because you have this concept of creating life on your own terms. We talked a little bit about before the show, and it was really fascinating to me. I want to talk to you just a second about that. But
Yeah.
for those in the audience that are watching, you guys know that I'm a big advocate of promise leadership, meaning that move yourself out of oppression into freedom by focusing on doing the right thing. And if you're a faith-filled person, it's focusing on God, because that's how God led the Israelites out of Egypt, is through focusing on Him, and that led them to freedom. And then to get to the promise, obviously you had to stay in right standing with God. You had to move into righteousness, and so the only way that God would remove the barrier of the Red Sea and then remove the Jordan River is with a dedicated focus towards Him and learning His teaching. So if you follow me, you know that that's what I talk about as promise leadership. Now, you have this concept of building life on your own terms.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what does that mean to you? And you're pretty passionate about this.
I am. It's funny. I have two companies that are titled LBD, and this actually came from where I hung my real estate license, which was Keller Williams, and I got a lot of my, I guess, personal development training from there. But LBD stands for Life by Design, Not by Default. Right? We go through this world that by default, we're going to do what everybody else is, what society tells us we should do. We're going to go get a job, and we're going to be in that job for 40 years, and we're going to work these 40 to 60 hours a week so we can have 2 days off on the weekend and then go back and do it again. At a very early age, I was like, I don't like that. That is not my vision of life. Right. So I'm not going to do that, is kind of what I said. And then started going into designing and creating a vision. I've had amazing coaches and been part of amazing masterminds where that was kind of the focus. It's, what is your vision of life? And look at it through the eyes of an Imagineer, is what this one mastermind taught me, versus an engineer. Meaning, what do you want? Don't ask how yet. What do you want? We lose that imagination skill. I've heard other studies, and people talk about it, childhood experts say around fourth grade. And I don't know how true that is, but right now my son is in first grade. And if he's like, Dad, I want a helicopter parked in our front yard, he's not talking about a toy helicopter. He wants a helicopter in his front yard. And when they're this young, when he's 6 and 7, yeah, okay, that's great. But when they're 10, 11, yeah, I don't think that's not real, right? That's when we start telling our kids, yeah, you're probably not cut out to be the president of the United States. Right. And I think we crush those dreams. Why? If he wants a helicopter in his front yard, I'm not going to be the one to tell him no, because there's somebody out there with a helicopter in the front yard. So have that vision and let's go create it on your terms, on your design.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's almost like, if you think about it from the concept of promise leadership, if you can imagine it and you think it into the future, that could be the promise that's leading you to clean up your life, to do all the right things, to get in right standing with God, to get your marriage correct, to get your health correct, to build that the relationships and the friendships in order to help you build your business long term, because no man is an island and no man builds a business on their own. One of the most important things that I think I've ever learned in my business career as I continue to develop and grow is how important relationships are. Like everything you talk about here is a different form of a relationship,
Mhm.
on your Balanced Business Dad podcast. And so
Yep.
you've got a cool thing that's happening, though. You guys have been working hard. I see the advertisements all over the internet. Tell me about this event that you guys are putting up. I'm so
Yeah.
excited about this.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So September 12th, we are hosting a workshop called Dads Achieving with Dads. And it is a going to be an all-day workshop where we are bringing in speakers that are specialized in each one of those pillars we've talked about, where they will pour into the other dads in there. Because again, I've been obsessed with that question, how can we become better? These dads are going to help us become better in each one of those pillars. Also, during that day, we're going to have a panel of business dads that have the success in life that so many of us look up to. And we're going to be able to ask them the real hard questions, right? Like, take the Instagram filters out of it and tell us how you handle all of this stuff we have to handle, right? To balance, right? And balance is actually balancing because it's a verb. We got to juggle all of these things at once, right? Because there's never true balance behind it. So we get to ask those business dads those questions to figure out how they do it and get tips and tricks. And my goal is to every dad that shows up is going to walk away with just one nugget of that gold piece that's going to help them be a better husband, a better father, a better friend, right? The goal with the Balanced Business Dad is to have a thriving business that doesn't control you, have a passionate marriage, kids that adore you, for you to grow deeper in your faith, be healthier physically and mentally, and have meaningful relationships with friends. And that's what that day is going to do, guys. That's September 12th, the Water's Edge Banquet Center in St. Peter's. You can get tickets at dadupevent.com. You get lunch with your $49 ticket. So you really can't beat it. And I'll even buy you a drink across the street at a happy hour afterwards. So, I mean, you're almost getting paid to come to this event, right? So, dadupevent.com, September 12th in St. Peter's. Take the day, take the day off if you have to request it with a boss, whatever it needs to be. But in my opinion, all husbands and all fathers need to be there because they're going to walk away better.
Yeah, September 12th, guys. You need to be there. I'll put the link to the tickets in the description. So you can
Perfect.
just, if you're watching this on replay, you can go back, click the links in the description. It'll take you right there. You can purchase your ticket. You're going to want to be there. Look, if you got anything out of this show today, if you've taken the time to listen to Dustin and got some information, this is the type of stuff you're going to get at this event. But you're not just going to get this. You're going to get this on steroids. It's going to be one of those types of life-changing environments where you're going to get poured into in each areas of these different one of your relationships, and it's going to help you achieve things that you never even knew you could do. It's going to draw out of you that imagination. It's going to bring to you a lot of these concepts that maybe you've put on the back burner, maybe you've stalled, maybe there's an area of your life that you're not managing. I know that the Bible talks about that God gives you a little bit and expects you to manage that, and if you can do well with that, then he gives you a lot more. And so maybe there's an area of your life that you haven't been managing properly. I would highly recommend that you guys get a ticket and go to this event. I should see you there, so that'll be exciting part about that. So
Absolutely.
Dustin, I really appreciate having you on the show today. Is there any other final words of advice that you have for balanced business dads out there, or heck, anybody watching that's in small multifamily?
Guys, just know in your small multifamily business, in your real estate investing business, but in life, there is no separation. It's all of it is one you, right? We say 6 pillars, one you, right? So many people try to separate it. I don't agree with that. I need you to bring it together and be present in those right pillars when you're supposed to be present in those right pillars, right? So just go out and be better, because every one of us can be better tomorrow than we were today.
All right. Well, thank you, Dustin. I appreciate it. And for you guys with Mind Renovation Nation, I appreciate you guys listening to another episode. This has been another great time. And for those of you, again, that are watching this on replay, I'm so grateful for you and I'm so thankful for you. As far as the audience goes, what a wonderful opportunity for you guys to grow and share and learn around this information. So if this information has been helpful for you, my only question is, who do you know that needs this information? All right, guys, you have a good afternoon. Like and subscribe and share and do all the YouTubey things like clicking the button and smashing the bells. So, all right, guys, talk to you later.